Aloha and welcome to Maui Nonprofit Notes. Now in our 10th year of broadcasting each week, we continue talking story with Maui's nonprofit executive directors and staff to find out how they're working to support those with needs within our community. Maui Nonprofit Notes is generously sponsored by Pacific Source. So if you're building or remodeling a home, please stop by Pacific Source's Cabinet and Appliance Showroom located in the Waikapu Bayshard. I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. During this hour, we share some of the experiences of our nonprofit agencies and just how they're changing lives, changing communities, and creating miracles of hope for those with needs. Today we're talking with Danielle Bergen, who is the Maui Coordinator for Mental Health America of Hawaii, the Maui branch. Did I get it all in there?
I think you did.
Whoa, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. Try writing my email out. It's my Danielle.Bergen@mentalhealthhawaii.org.
Oh my gosh, it's the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like a short story.
Yeah. Well, the nice thing about it is on the computer, so all you have to do is copy it.
Exactly.
And you can do that automatically, so that's easy.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. This is quarterly report month for all those of us who get grants from the county, the state, and it's just about all of us, right? I'm sitting there trying to do one of the forms that they give you that's supposed to be fillable.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, why doesn't that populate across the page? Come on. And I enter it again and I think, okay, what did I do wrong? And then I find out the form has been corrupted. Or like it's been copied over, too many times or something. And then I get to the little boxes where you put the X's. And I go, okay, it's got a little black spot in the box. How do I get the X instead of the black spot? After all these years of trying to fill out these forms, I have somebody who works for me who knows how to do that.
Really?
You double click on the box that has the black section, and it goes to a thing that says check mark.
Yes.
And you tell it to check it. You say, okay, and boom, there's the check mark.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there going, now, why did that take me? How many years have I been doing? Well, we haven't had fillable forms that long, but
no. At
least 8 years or so.
I think I found that trick last year. And that was the same spot, right? So
it's wonderful.
And I'm not that great in Excel anyway, which a lot of those forms are.
Yeah.
And then I did notice that with the county it was new. There was new forms this year.
Everything was updated in some
exactly.
departments and my understanding is they were trying to get together to have the forms very similar, so that you didn't have to really know how to do each department's forms. They didn't get there.
Well, it didn't seem too bad this year. I just actually sent mine this morning over to my executive director in Honolulu for her to check out. So,
oh, right. Yeah, you got to go the extra step.
Yeah, but that's okay, right? It's like I do that work, and then she comes in and reviews and adds a little bit what we're doing over there. So, but yeah, thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
I'm glad to have this show to do so I could get away from that. This year we've got 20. I've got 25 programs that we have to do quarterly reports for.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like I have to get the information from the program managers, that are all scattered all over the place, and then put it in form and all this. And we're sitting there going,
that's a lot.
Duh. But that's because we've just picked up all these new grants to be fiscal sponsor for them.
I'm fortunate just being here that's the one I'm responsible for here. But I know that is the same conundrum that my executive director has in Honolulu.
Right.
And she's working voraciously on that. And then applying for new ones
exactly,
at the same
that's
time.
Right around the corner. Yep.
Besides reporting. And we're lucky to have a new employee who started with us this year who's really good at helping out with finding grants and grant writing. So I think that was a big help for her because there's only 5 of us in Honolulu, and then there's just myself over here. So I depend over here a lot with volunteers for all of our programs and everything that we do.
Yeah. That's terrific. I mean, the volunteers are out there. We just have to
I'm really
the word
blessed.
To the right people.
Yeah, I'm blessed. I reached out when I first started a few years back, and just to some people I knew, and one or two of them responded. But then as I went along through my time there, I met different people in different phases and parts of the county and things that we do through all the other groups that we ally with, like the Maui Nonprofit Directors, which is this show, and also like with the Maui Homeless Alliance, whose meeting I'm missing right now. But I have a lot of contacts there. The Ho'iakaika Partnership, the Prevent Suicide Maui County Task Force, the Maui Disability Alliance. So you meet everyone along the way, working together, right? We work better when we work together instead of in silos,
Right.
which is one of the things that I think is great about the nonprofits in Maui. And we help each other, right? And I found some really good people. We started out just in 2017 with our first Train the Trainer for our youth suicide and bullying prevention program. And we started with, I think, 11 or 12 people at that time coming in. And now we did our third Train the Trainer this last summer. So we've trained about 40 individuals on Maui to be able to teach the course. And active volunteer instructors I would say, Susie, I probably have like 7 to 10 who work with me on a regular basis going into the schools, because I couldn't do it myself,
Right.
and still do all the other programs that we do.
So that's great.
Yeah, we were excited that last year we were able to get into, I think it was 9 different schools in all parts of Maui County. That includes Hana, Molokai, and Lanai, and train close to 1,400 youth in our youth suicide and bullying prevention program. And we just we're going to a school on the west side next week, and we've already done one of the high schools here in Central Maui. I'm talking to one of the middle schools, intermediate schools up country later today. I'm hoping to get back up there and to do their 7th grade health class. And I'm still working with trying to get over to Hana with their high school. We did their middle school last year, and I'd love to get over there to come into the high school. I think it's just so important, especially our rural areas, because our rural areas are where the rates of suicide are a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We think of the rural areas as being where the people are comfortable. There's not the same kinds of pressures that there are in the more populated areas, but that's not always a factor.
No, I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of goodness in living in a rural area. I believe that, my brother and sister-in-law have a farm in upstate New York, and they're kind of in the middle of nowhere south of Buffalo, and it's a beautiful area, but you run across different risks of suicide in those areas. So, one being isolation. Right?
Right.
Which could be, if you're not in touch with your neighbors as much as you used to be, isolation is usually a warning sign. And then, of course, substance use, which does include alcohol and or drugs. And a lot of times people will just try to cope with their problems with the use of alcohol and drugs. And if it gets to be where you're coping with a mental health condition by using them, such as depression or anxiety, it just puts you at an even higher risk.
Makes it worse.
Yeah. So, I think that we do see sometimes with some of our neighbor islands, especially in Maui County, Molokai, Lanai, we've seen some unfortunate suicides and a little bit of the contagion effect. So when one youth takes their life, then another, or maybe in a second, even a third, within a small amount of time, do that as well. And contagion is when someone who is not doing well takes their life, and then they remember them, and the community comes together, and sometimes they memorialize more than just a day or two, and they maybe put up something, and they maybe make a memorial at the school. And what that might do to someone who is at equal risk of this person who took their life, they might be feeling all alone and without love in their life, which could be one of their major risk factors. And they see that, wow, look what's, my friend, look at all the love he has now. So then they think that maybe if they take their life, then that would be the same thing. So to try and stop contagion, we try to limit the time of memorials. We don't suggest to, put them in a school and to leave a special locker or something like that. Yes, by all means, do the grieving process. It's important, and do what you can to help the family after with support, whether it is spiritual support through through local churches or halaus or whatever it is, through family, through friends. Do that. Try not to ever mention when you refer to them of the method that they took their life, because that is not a good effect of it. That's not safe messaging, as we call it. Instead, try to talk about some of the resources that are out there, and that's what we try to do with our youth suicide and bullying prevention. That's a resource, the crisis line of Hawaii, or the the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, right? The crisis line of Hawaii for the neighbor islands is 800-753-6879. I'll say it one more time slower. 800-753-6879. And this is if you find someone in crisis or you want to try and help somebody, to see what you can do to help them. Talk to somebody, right? Talking to people is such a huge thing.
Right.
When you notice those signs, ask your friends when it goes over time and you're worried and you care about them. Tell them that and ask them if they're thinking of taking their life, because you'll be opening the door for them to get help, right? It doesn't put them at higher risk. There's hundreds of studies that show that. And then use this crisis line, or use a crisis text line. That's what the youth seem to want to do. They like to text. So you can text Aloha, 741-741. That goes to the crisis line, and someone will text you back in 45 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you say, I'm worried about my friend. We took a class on this, and I'm forgetting some things. How do I help them, right? And with the youth, we encourage them to tell somebody, right? So to tell the teacher, tell a trusted adult, tell the security officer at school, tell the coach, tell someone in the office, right? Do what they can and let the adults take the responsibility of getting them help, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do what you can, because we can save lives. We can prevent. It's not. We have is a mental health concern. It's a mental health concern all throughout the state, and our agency is doing what we can to be a positive factor in this. Even with our other trainings of youth suicide, youth mental health first aid, and mental health first aid, we have big parts of suicide prevention in there.
It seems like that folks what I've heard from some people who have lost friends and relatives, I never saw any signs. There were no signs of this coming.
Yeah.
And so often when we talk about it, it's like, there are signs. Is it that we don't pay that close attention to people and how they're acting or what's happening?
It could be. I don't want to put the last thing I would want to do is put some guilt out there on anyone. Right. Because all of us will go back and we will think back on what could we have done. Right. And I even had last year in December someone very close to me take their life, and I had talked to them about it 2 weeks before, and I had saw the warning signs. But I know there's some people that miss them, and it's not that they're not out there. You might just not notice them, maybe because in reality most of us are really in between our ears, more concerned with what's going on with ourselves than anyone else, right? It's just a fact of life. Right. But let me just go over some of the warning signs. Okay. And if you could just picture yourself, someone that you know as a friend or a neighbor, maybe a classmate. Over time, a lot of times, these would be the things you might notice. Extreme mood swings, okay? Mm-hmm. Going from very happy to very sad and kind of going that up and down. Showing rage, right? It might be a person who is usually kind of under control, but lately they've been showing some rage, and it's their only way seemingly to let out some of their feelings. Withdrawing or isolating from each other. The isolation is the big thing, especially if you have someone who's, likes to go to the movies a lot with you, and now they're starting to back away from that, or they like to go surfing, or they like to go to the mall and go shopping, and instead you're texting them and whatever, and they're not replying so much, right? So they're isolating. Sleeping too much or too little. That could be a sign of depression. And depression is, suicide, unfortunately, is one of the things that raises the risk factor when you have depression. Of course, substance abuse, acting agitated or anxious, talking about or feeling hopeless or trapped, Okay, everything I do, everywhere I turn, I just can't seem to get out of this. I just don't know what to do, right? That's someone opening the door for you. Well, let's sit down and talk about this.
Interesting.
Let's have some coffee. Let's just sit down and talk story, right? And then just different life stressors that we all have, right? Relationship struggles, right? Legal issues. Sometimes, legal issues start to come up in your life if you own a business, or if somebody sues you for some reason, or if you've had a car accident and now you have lawyers involved and things like that. And then especially over here in Hawaii, financial struggles. We all struggle.
Right.
We all struggle. And I can't say all, but a lot of us in the, that are working folks and it's not an easy place to live. It's a beautiful place to live, but it sure isn't affordable in a lot of ways, right?
Right.
So when you have or take any of these combined, they just start to weigh on you. Okay?
At some point, when does it break the back?
Well, usually that's when you would see an attempt, right? However, by paying attention to the warning signs, right, we look at first at suicidal ideation. It's not completely abnormal to think about suicide, but if you keep thinking about it and you're considering it, then you've got some stuff going on, and that's a key question. You can even ask that with someone once you've noticed some of these and you've been talking for a little bit, and you can say, hey, I'm worried about you. Are you thinking about taking your life? Are you thinking about killing yourself? And by opening that door, they might likely say yes. And that's a scary thing because they've said yes, and you should remain as calm, right, as possible, right?
Don't panic.
And then ask the next question, which is you want to see how far it is along. Have you made a plan? And if you've made a plan, when have you decided to do it? Right.
Wow.
Sometimes if they've been carrying on all these things and they've talked a little bit around this stuff, they might have a complete mood change where everything is good in their life and they start giving away favorite possessions to people. That is another huge sign that they've already made up their mind. They know how they're going to do it and when they're going to do it. You ask them if they have the means to do it, right? And by having and knowing the plan. And then to come from a place of love and talk to them, I really care about you. I know that things are bad, but I've had other friends that have been in this spot, and there's help out there. Right. I have the crisis line. But one of the things that I want to tell you, if you can put a download on your phone, and this is anyone out there, our suicide prevention app is called Kokua Life. That's Kokua Life. And it looks like a little lifesaver. It's a free download. Everything I'm talking about right here, risk factors, warning signs, questions to ask, are all on that suicide prevention app. We came out with this in the spring of 2018. And even if you forget some of the things, you can open that app and you can not only find what to do in this crisis situation, but there's lots of phone numbers, and there's a whole complete directory on social services in the state of Hawaii, and I'm talking every island in there.
Wow.
So there's help out there, right?
Right.
We just have to, all of us, pay attention and then be willing to reach out to people and talk, because we have to talk about this.
Exactly. On that note, we're going to take a short break so everybody can think a little bit about what we've been saying and also listen to the commercial. We'll be right back.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show where we talk story with our nonprofit executive directors to find out what's going on in their community and the folks that they work with, the folks with needs. It's what it's all about here for us. Talking with Danielle Bergen of the Mental Health of America of Hawaii Maui office. I mean, everything you said in the first part of the program, I mean, is so important and so real. I mean, it's people. I think we still have people who are just afraid of the subject.
They are. We really have to. You know, it used to be swept under the rug a lot. It's being talked about a lot more recently, and it's because of the risks have gone up so high and the numbers have gone up high, especially for youth. However, it crosses a lifetime, right? Suicide prevention can awaken that language about stigma, saying that, you know, people are afraid to talk about something. Unless we talk about it, unless we put it out in the open, we can't do a lot to try and lower the numbers. And the more we can educate people about what to do and how to talk to people, it's going to help save lives. You know, it's just when it used to happen, people just shoved it under the rug. It's the same thing with any kind of mental health condition, right? If a family member has something, you know, they don't want that stigma of having another person think that them or their other family are crazy or nuts. You know, we're talking about logic and thinking that's really a century old. This is the 21st century. We have all kinds of ways of communicating, right? This being one of the oldest ones, you know, from the 20th century, radio.
Right.
But still, people listen to radio, and we're out there, and we want help. And I just want to tell you about something that we're doing here in Maui. And this is years ago, my understanding, long before I came to Mental Health America of Hawaii, when it was the Mental Health Association in Maui, we used to have events and luncheons and things. So trying to bring that back this year. And because of all the work we do in suicide prevention through our Youth Suicide and Bullying Prevention Project, our Suicide 101 prevention course, and mental health first aid and youth mental health first aid, we decided to have a Maui Suicide Prevention Luncheon. And it's going to be on November 7th at the Kahili Golf Course Nahele Room. That's Thursday, November 7th. It starts at 11:30, goes to 1 p.m., check-in will start at 11 o'clock. And, of course, the Kahili Golf Course is the one below the King Kamehameha Golf Course. You can call me to register if you want. I can point you in the right direction. The easiest and best way to register is to go to our website, mentalhealthamericaofhawaii.org, and click on the luncheon, which is on the top of it, and then you can go to a click from there to register online. Okay, sometimes people, if they want to get tables of 10, can call me directly, and I can set up payment for that and reserve tables. We want to top out at about 150 because that's comfortable for the room. And really, I have no idea on how this is going to go because we've never done a luncheon in my time there. But I can tell you that the spots are filling up. We have 4 main sponsors of the event right now, which is great. Kahimohala Sutter Health is our lead sponsor. We also have sponsorships from Maui Health Systems. We have a private donation of $2,500, which is going towards our luncheon as well. And we have several, let's see, there's one other sponsor. Oh, yes, Kamehameha Schools, where I'll be this evening. Talking about the film The S Word, which is done by suicide survivors, a film done by a suicide survivor on survivors of suicide, actual folks that have survived. That's at Kamehameha Schools this evening. Registration about 5:30, and the film starts at 6. So they've done a lot in the community and are big supporters of ours. And in fact, 2 of their staff members are also youth suicide and bullying prevention instructors. But back to the luncheon, our keynote speaker is Dr. Adam Coles. He'll be talking about attacking barriers and cracks on the road and wellness. and taking a Maui-centric look at some of the obstacles to seeking help and hope on our island, and how can we break them down. And of course, Dr. Adam Coles is a child psychiatrist with the state of Hawaii and the clinical director of the Maui Family Guidance Center. He's also the chairperson of our local board of directors here, my advisory board of directors on Maui, and he is a co-chair of the Prevent Suicide Maui County Task Force along with myself. So there's still some sponsorship opportunities available. We have levels of 2,000, 3,500, and 5,000. Or if you just want to go to the luncheon, go to the website, click in. You know, if you want to put a table together, give me a call. My office number is 808-242-6461. That's 808-242-6461. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to keep raising awareness for this, because the more we talk about it as a community, the more we can get the word out there, the more we can train people on how to talk to your family and friends and get the help that they need, right, in that time of darkness in their life. We can help save lives, because everyone's life is important.
Exactly. The I'm a little curious about the process that you were talking about earlier. When someone starts to feel this, it starts with a depression kind of thing.
It can. I mean, it might be prior to depression, but it could be a number of things that happens all at once. It could be that, let's say in a youth, right, that they maybe are constantly moving around to different schools, so they have to make different friends all the time. Their parents might be in the military or something like that, or they move from different parts of the island or something. It could be a loss of a significant loved one, which might start the process. Or if they've been struggling in school or struggling to make friends, they might be being bullied. What happens is it usually starts to be a lot of different things coming in the right not the right direction, but in the same direction.
So it's a feeling that life is not going the way they feel it should.
Yeah.
For them, and,
right,
and
exactly.
They can't see the world around them.
Yeah.
What's going on? It's about them.
Exactly, and that there's just so many things that start to pile up, and they're not reaching out to anybody to talk about it. They're not talking to their parents about it. They're usually internalizing everything and trying to handle it. And it could also be, from that might form depression, right? Someone who's even been bullied constantly has almost the exact same symptoms of depression. It could be from anxiety disorder, but when you start to pile things on it, things just get too much. And if they're not talking about it or not reaching out, then they start to show all those different warning signs we talked about, like maybe mood changes and isolation and things of that nature. So, I highly recommend that we just take time once a day, maybe 5 minutes, just to reach out and call someone who's a friend or a family member and just say, how are you doing, right? Mm-hmm. How's things going? I haven't talked to you in a long time. Hey, I had 10 minutes. I was taking a break. You know what? I just thought I would give you a call and see what's going on with you. When you reach out to people and you ask them how they're doing and let them talk, that opens the door. If they do have something going on, right, then maybe you can help.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was thinking last night on my drive home about different people that I've kind of lost track of in the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. That at one point I was close to or worked with, or whatever the case might be. And I'm thinking they've really just kind of disappeared off the screen. And I don't see them in the places that I used to see them periodically. And it's those chance meetings that always worked for us, because you get caught up on what's happening with them. And I was thinking, I'm sitting here with all I got to do is push a button in my car and I can call them, right? Why don't I do that? Whether it's in the morning coming to work, because I don't come at 6 in the morning, so I can certainly call them.
Yeah.
And on the way home at night, what the heck? At 6:30, whatever it is, I'm driving home. You're right. I mean, make a 10-minute phone call and just chat with them and see what's happening. And if they aren't there, I can leave a message. Maybe I can I can stir up something and get them to call me back and find out what's happening in their lives.
True. And you know what? It's also a good thing for your own mental wellness as well. Because you're reaching out to somebody else and you're asking them how they're doing. So you're getting out of your own head about what's going on in your life, and instead you're reaching out to somebody else to talk to them. And that could be the best thing that happens to them all day, especially if they've been struggling. So now you'll probably be able to tell during the course of the conversation on how good it was that you spoke with them. And just like you said, when you run into somebody you haven't seen in a while and you start talking, you give each other a hug or whatever, what are you both doing? You're both smiling, right? You're both happy and you're both smiling because you haven't seen each other in a long time, and you might share a laugh, right?
Right.
And that's such good mental wellness as well.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point. So moral of the story is don't just think about it, do it.
Yeah, like that Nike thing said, just do it.
Just do it. You're right. You're right. And also the idea about getting out of my head,
Yeah.
because on the drive home, a lot of times I'm thinking about the things that happened during the day
Sure.
or didn't happen that are going to be held over till tomorrow. Not the way to go home.
No.
I
I have a nice long drive every day. I drive from the
Yeah,
daily.
you do.
So I generally will call somebody
Yeah.
going and coming, right?
Right.
Especially when I want to talk and connect with somebody, from the family or a good friend on the East Coast, because
Right.
I'll be able to get them on the phone for like a good 45 minutes some days, right?
Yeah.
And just, boom, I pick them up in Kaanapali, and the next thing you know, I'm pulling into the Cameron Center, and we're saying goodbye, right? So
Right. Yeah.
I often do that with my sister Maureen. We get to connect that way. So
Yeah. And it's a great thing. I mean, I don't know. I suppose there's people out there who say you shouldn't talk, even though you're not holding a phone. You're still not thinking about your drive. And I'm going, reality is a lot of times on the way home, I'm not thinking about my drive, even if I'm not talking to somebody. I get home and I go, did I see that when I went by Pukalani? Or they're building a house someplace, and
Yeah.
I think, oh, I didn't see how far they've come this week.
Yeah.
Or something, and I go, my gosh, Susie, you got to pay attention. But there's more and more traffic on the road.
Yeah.
Every road.
Yeah, there
even
is.
Up country, it's like, my gosh, it's when I head up the hill, there's a constant stream of headlights coming down the hill at 6:30. Where are they coming from? There's no football game that finished. There's nothing going on at the schools. What's the deal?
Well, in the last 5 years, there's something like 40 to 50% more tourists than there was back from 2014.
I guess that's possible.
You can
A lot of them are
more
tourists.
airlines, more and more seats are
Yeah.
they're putting out there. And what the unfortunate thing for us is, we live in a beautiful place. I understand why people want to come, but I think our infrastructure is maxed.
I think so.
So
And I'm convinced that we've got a lot of unlicensed bed and breakfasts or part-time rentals up there and stuff. Because every once in a while you'll see somebody driving like they're not sure where they're going. They're not
yeah,
And it's like, is that luggage in the back? Are they trying to find what they just rented,
Oh,
or
gosh.
something? But it's like, it's everywhere.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. There was a time when everything was confined to the hotel districts, and that was fine because we didn't care. That's why I'm up there. I don't want to be in the middle of that. But it's come to us.
yeah. We have a lot to do on our little island.
Yeah, we do.
Um,
Lots of work. But getting back to our subject here today, this luncheon sounds great. You should have a full house.
I hope so. I really hope so. We really, we're really hoping to continue our raising awareness of what's going on with our suicide prevention and some of our other programs. You mentioned some of the programs that we do in the beginning of the show, and one of the ones that was not on there, and we've just recently started doing this in the last couple of years, is our Live Your Life Well, and it's a wellness presentation. It's one of my favorite ones to do because I have a lot of serious stuff to talk about in our suicide prevention trainings, or our mental health first aid trainings, or our mental health trainings. But I would like to share some information on that.
And we will do that right after the break.
Okay.
Aloha from Pacific Source, and thank you for your support over the years. Pacific Source has offered more of what builders and homeowners value most in building materials and cabinet design. We've done this by offering superior customer service and products, as well as by designing kitchens and baths that are intelligent and elegant while staying true to your vision and budget. Visit our showroom in Waikapu in Central Maui, where we display a variety of cabinets as well as top-name appliances like Sub-Zero, Wolf, Viking, KitchenAid, and more. We display countertops, tile and wood flooring, and several brands of windows and doors, including Fleetwood multi-slides and La Cantina folding doors. Come in and talk to our designers about making your dreams become a reality. From concept to completion, we really believe our attention to detail and superior service are what sets us apart. Let us show you what we mean. We are a Pacific Source at 515 East Oahe Way in the Consolidated Base Yard in Waikapu, just off Waiko Road. Call us at 986-0380. That's 986-0380, or look us up online at packsource.com.
And we are back. This is Maui Nonprofit Notes, the weekly radio show, Talking Story. That's our claim to fame, isn't it? Talking Story.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. It's not a standard format of any kind. It's just kind of what's the first question that pops up, and if it takes us the whole hour to answer that question, so be it. And maybe we're not going to get to the details and specifics of the points that the programs are all about people we're talking to. But this is such an important issue, and I don't know of anybody right now who's not been affected by this. Yeah. I mean, either knowing somebody who knows somebody, or just the fact that it's happening.
Yeah.
And like you say, it's being talked about more, and that should be a good thing. Mm-hmm. Because, the thing that keeps running through my mind is that it's such a long-term solution to a short-term problem.
Yeah.
When there's somebody you could go talk to or whatever and help get yourself, straightened out and back on track, if that's the way you want to describe it. Right. Why would you go to that point?
It's hard to, it's speaking of the whys of things with suicide, there's so many things involved with it. And to try and give one answer to try and determine that is really an impossibility.
Right.
Once a suicide does happen, it removes the possibility for hope that things could get better. And you mentioned on how it affects us and the family. We have part of our training with our youth suicide and bullying prevention training, and we use the image of a bullseye, and in the center of it is the X, and that's the person who took their life, and we say who would be in that inner circle, and of course that is the family, the mother and father, the husband and wife, the grandparents, and then a circle on the outside. Who does that affect? And if it's a youth, it would be your classmates, or if it's an adult, it would be your co-workers or your neighbors or your friends, and then an outer circle. And who else would that be in that, right? It would be maybe the people you go to church with, or you go to one of your favorite minute stops on the way home and you pick up a musubi, and the lady behind the counter, and she knows you, and you smile and you say hi. You don't know each other's names, but if they saw your picture and then an article about you in the paper that you took your life, it affects them and they will miss you.
Right.
And there's lots of different studies on this, and the numbers have varied, but about the most consistent one I've seen is like one suicide affects up to 250 people. And I really think, my own personal opinion is it affects a community. It affects all of us in the community. And I tell the young people when I'm teaching the course, if I was to find out one of you took their life, I said it would affect me, because I would have been here and I would have had a chance to see you and get to know you a little bit.
Right.
So, but along with talking about this and talking about the importance of suicide prevention, and especially our luncheon, one of the things I wanted to finish with today, and I want to finish with our talk like maybe on a more positive note, and that's one of the trainings that we do that was not listed on the website is called Live Your Life Well. And living your life well is just a reminder of 10 steps to help you live your life better or to live your life well. And I got to tell you, I did this training just yesterday morning at Kahului Union Church for a group of seniors. And there was about 30 of them there. And I started talking, and we went through this whole thing. And I saw them engaged, and I saw them paying attention and taking notes, and some smiles out there when I was talking about some things. Talking about laughter, right? Sometimes laughter is one of the best things you can do.
Right.
When you feel when you're laughing, right? Your whole body feels better. And I was telling them about sometimes when you start laughing so much, you can't stop. You get real silly and looking at someone, and all you have to do is say a word to them, and you both start laughing again.
Right.
And I was telling them about this had happened with me this last Saturday with my friend Teresa, who we hadn't seen each other in a while. And this happens to us quite often, if I remember. But, oh, my God, my stomach hurt after. But we laughed for 5 minutes, and I got to say we both felt tremendously better. But I just wanted to go over a few different things that would help you live your life better. So one thing that we're talking about, and one thing that we're doing right now, whether you're like in this room with us or just listening, is you're connecting with others, right? Connections with others, talking to people, saying hi, getting in an elevator, say hi to somebody. They're kind of shocked, right?
Right.
I'm that woman that always says something, right? I never used to be, but I'm the type of person, if I'm walking around the Cameron Center and I see somebody, I just naturally say hi. I grew up in a place that wasn't too big. It was like a small town in upstate New York, about 30,000 people. So when I came here, I kind of fit right in, right? And that's really, you do see that more in small towns. People say hi. They make a connection.
Right.
So try and do that. Another thing is to stay positive. I know it's hard these days. There's a lot of stuff going on in our lives. But a positive attitude, right, can really make a difference in your life. I can tell you I'm getting older. I've got some physical challenges recently. I got aches and pains where I never had them before, and I don't really like it. But I have a good attitude, and I'm grateful, right? Being grateful about everything you have. Think about the things that you have instead of things you don't have. And if you can start to be grateful for what you got, I'll guarantee you that's going to help you stay positive. Getting physically active, right? The more you walk or the more you get out, the more you do something, get in the ocean, that salt water is healing. Just get some activity going, right? You might have some soreness in the beginning, some muscles you haven't used in a while, but you have those endorphins that be released through you in your body because exercise will do that. That's why they always recommend, all the different studies, they recommend like 20 minutes of good positive activity 5 days a week or 3 days a week or whatever it is. But I'm just saying, if you do something and moving around, even with my sciatica, it's really sore in the morning, but at least if I can keep walking around and moving, it's going to help it some. One of my favorite ones on this list is to help others, right? We talked about how giving that call to your friend or whatever, just to see how they're doing. But if you can get out of your own head about your own stuff and feeling sorry for yourself and what all's going on with you, and reach out to help somebody and ask them how they're doing, or give them a ride to go someplace, or take them out to dinner, or just sit and have coffee and talk story, right? You're going to find when you help others, when you do something for someone and get, a thank you in return, that's really all you need. Don't you feel better when you do something for someone else, when you give somebody a present and you see what their reaction is? So that in turn helps you. Helping others really helps yourself. Getting enough sleep. And I know this is a hard one for all of us. I'm not going to get as much sleep as I want tonight because I'm going to be out late and going early in the morning for a training in Kihei. But most of the time, I've been pretty good over the last 10 years or so. I generally go to bed about 9:30. I get up at 4:30 in the morning. People think that's crazy, but I get 7 hours of sleep almost all the time. And I get those hours between 10 and 2, which are the most important block of hours of sleep to get. And I just learned this last Friday at the Hoyakaika Partnership Conference. Dr. Lee talked to us about that. So getting enough sleep is really going to help you. Create joy and satisfaction in your own life, right? We just talked a minute ago about giving someone else a present, but why not give yourself a present, right? Why not treat yourself a little bit once in a while? Get that really pretty dress that's out there that you've been wanting to get, or go out to dinner with that special friend in a nice restaurant. Do something nice for yourself just to create some joy and satisfaction in your life. Do something that makes you happy. Does singing make you happy, right? Or just watching an old movie that's a classic that you haven't seen in a long time? I love the movies. I love to watch the Turner Classic Movies. One of my favorite things to do on a Saturday afternoon is to just watch 2 or 3 movies in a row on Turner Classic Movies, because I just love the old movies. I watched them when I was a kid with my mom. My mom was a movie buff. And then eating well, right? Eating well is good, and eating healthy, okay? It's a challenge for me, but I'm lucky where I work at the Cameron Center. I have the Simply Healthy Cafe from Huinoko Olopono. I eat their healthy soups most every day. But every once in a while, I like to have a plate lunch. As long as I'm not eating a plate lunch 3 or 4 times a week, but maybe one a week or one every 2 weeks, right? Last night on the way home, I'd been eating healthy all weekend, like last few days, and I just started thinking, I don't want to cook tonight. I might get a hamburger at Joey's in Mnpd, and I did. I got their burger and some fries. So, I ate well for comfort food last night, but most of the time when I eat fresh veggies or have a smoothie and all those things, you feel better. It's just better food for you. And then taking care of your spirit. And whether this with some people is going to church or just going out and watching a sunset, spirituality is a huge thing. Feeling good about yourself for being who you are. Love yourself. That's a positive thing. If you can love yourself, you can have some good spiritual connections, not just with you, but with everyone else around you. Believe in that higher power greater than you, whether it's God or whether it's the ocean or whether it's just Mother Maui itself, right? And try to deal better with hard times. And this is a hard one, right? Because we all struggle in this direction. But again, communication, reaching out, talking to each other, right? Being aware that, I am struggling. You know what? I did see that therapist a few years ago. I bet you I should call them. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Believe me, it really is. It took me years to learn that. But the last 20 years, my life has completely changed because I do that on a regular basis. And then lastly, the reason that is 20 years ago is because I sought professional help when I needed it. I finally got to a place in my life where I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired of what was going on that I finally reached out and I got some help. And it was professional help, and there was a lot of things going on with me, and none of them good, right? I came from one of those dark places of being one of those people that thought about taking their lives. But my life changed completely. You can tell from just listening to me on the radio here. And that's that hope that's always out there. And so getting professional help will be good. I mean, when we're sick, when we don't feel well, when our stomach hurts, when we got the flu, finally we'll go to the doctor and we'll get better. Just because it's happening inside your head, don't think that you can't get better. 80% of the people in this country that reach out and get help get better. That's a pretty high number. Right? So these are just, in a quick fashion, 10 steps on living your life well.
Wow. And they all make sense.
And don't you feel better just listening?
And none of them are hard.
No. And it's all stuff we know, right? It's all things that we know. It's all stuff we've been taught since we were kids.
Right. And some of them are things that we totally ignore on purpose.
Sure.
It's like, why? I don't know why we do that, but I guess that's our way of saying, this is my life. I'm not gonna follow this one.
Isn't there a song about that? Frank Sinatra or something?
Is there? I don't know.
I don't know.
Whatever, but but you're right. I mean, step out and like you say, if you need professional help, go get it. That's a sign of strength. To say I cannot do this by myself, because it's, I don't know why would, see, it's hard for me to understand why somebody would not do that.
Well, again, it's just a lot of stuff that's going on, and sometimes we just don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
But the more we talk, right? Which is great on this radio show, right? You talk to all different kinds of people when we do this show, and we're in all different kinds of social services in Hawaii, whether it's about families or about preventing cancer, or there's, MEO and all their wonderful programs. There's so many of us out there, and we do work together. And if get help from one, you'll get help from another.
Right.
Protecting children, like the Ho'okaika Partnership. That's why asking for help is such a powerful thing, because you'll get help, right? And don't think of that stigma that you should be able to figure it out on your own. Don't put that pressure on yourself.
Right. I keep thinking about when we have the guy on from Fathers from Maui Family Support Services.
Mm-hmm. Kavika?
Yeah, Kavika. When you're a dad, okay, you've had a kid, so now you're a dad. You're difference between dad and father, and the kids don't come with books on how to do, what to do. You can't do it by yourself. I mean, there's, how you grew up, but can you do better for your child?
Sure.
And that's kind of the constant turn in life is better, bettering our lives in total. Wellness, there you are, right there. You've said it all. So we've talked about the suicide prevention luncheon. We've talked about wellness. We've talked about all kinds of things. Give Danielle a call at 242-6461 for more information. And you go out and speak. You were talking about speaking to a group yesterday.
Yeah.
Any group can call you and say,
sure,
hey,
call me for any kind of training,
Yeah.
Our wellness training, our suicide prevention trainings. I'll be doing a training next month in the mayor's office for Suicide Prevention 101. Our youth mental health first aid, our mental health first aid trainings, we do all those. And that 242 number 6461, that's also our helpline. So I don't give advice as far as counseling or anything, but I'm always willing to point you in the right direction about the resources in Maui County on where you can get help.
Wonderful. Danielle, thank you.
Thanks, Susie.
It's been a great hour on the show, and good luck with the documentary tonight. What is it called?
The S word. Epic
The S
Kamehameha
word.
Schools.
Right. Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Maui Nonprofit Notes is sponsored as a community service by Pacific Source, the builder's choice. Please give them a call at 986-0380 or stop by their showroom in the Waikapu Base Yard on East Oahe Way to see how they can help you with your building project. Pacific Source has been our sponsor from day one, and we thank them for their ongoing support. And to you, our listeners, we thank you for the response our agencies get from you regarding the activities we talk about on the program. Today we visited with Danielle Bergen of Mental Health America of Hawaii, the Maui branch, and talked about some of the things she's involved in. And give her a call, 242-6461, for more information. We want to thank you for joining us. Don't forget to check in with us again next week, same time, same place, when we'll feature representatives of 2 other member agencies of the Maui Nonprofit Directors Association. Until then, I'm Susie Tiemann, Executive Director of Lokahi Pacific, and your host for Maui Nonprofit Notes. Have a great week, everyone. Aloha.
I love